Hi, I am Dr. Abhishek Joshi and this is the sequence of the lecture, that is the pulse shaping. In our previous lecture we have discussed about the Nyquist criteria for 0 ISI for shaping the pulses, and accordingly we have arranged the pulses such that we are having the minimum ISI, or you can say 0 ISI, means ISI stands for inter-symbol interference. So in our previous lecture we have seen that how we can get 0 ISI, but that is the ideal case. Now the Nyquist second criteria shows that how we can control the ISI. So this is the lecture devoted to this. So pulse shaping. So pulse shaping for the controlled ISI we are talking about, that is also known as the partial response signaling. So according to Nyquist criteria, that pulses requires in the bandwidth somewhat larger than the theoretical minimum. So the bandwidth which is required is somewhat larger than the theoretical bandwidth, because we have to transmit these pulses through the channel, and channels are band limited, so there is a requirement for the larger bandwidth. So if you wish to further reduce the pulse bandwidth, we must find a way to widen the bandwidth, okay, or the wider the pulse, the narrower the bandwidth. So as we decrease the size of the pulse in the time domain, if you are decreasing the size of the pulses, what will happen? The bandwidth, or you can say the frequency, will increase. So frequency will increase. So as frequency increases, bandwidth also increases. So we have to narrow the bandwidth. So if we are narrowing the bandwidth, then what will happen? If we are narrowing the bandwidth, means that the time duration will increase. So if we are using the rectangular pulses, if we are using a rectangular pulses in the time domain like this, the Fourier transform, so in the frequency domain, the Fourier transform of the time domain rectangular pulses will be a sinc function. Okay. So when we are using the sinc function, it is occupying the bandwidth, that is a range of frequency from minus infinite to plus infinite. It will having this loops also. So as we can see that it is occupying the infinite bandwidth when we are using the rectangular pulses. Now if you want to limit this band, if we want to limit this bandwidth, what we will do? We will try to shrink it or narrow it down. If you try to shrink it or narrow it down, then the shape of the pulse will change. And how it will change, we will see. Here we can see the pulses are narrowed down, for example like this. If we are using a rectangular pulse, for example in the frequency domain, let's see this frequency domain. So if we are using a rectangular pulse in the frequency domain, what will happen? The inverse Fourier transform of this will be a sinc function. So this means that this will cause another problem. What is the problem? That there will be, we have to wait for infinite number of times, that is from minus t to plus t, we have to wait for infinite. So these are the two problems. So how we will overcome, we will see in this topic that is given by the Nyquist second criteria. So widening the pulses, as I have explained, the widening the pulse may result in interference, because it may interfere, the pulse, the consecutive pulse may interfere with the neighboring pulse, and due to the widening of the pulses will overlap and it will interfere. So that is why we will get the inter-symbol interference, or ISI, with the neighboring pulse. So however, in the binary transmission, just two possible symbols are there, that is known as the controlled amount of ISI. So in digital communication, what we are bothered about? We are bothered about that how we can control the inter-symbol interference. So may be possible to remove or compensate, because there are only a few possible interference pattern. So consider a pulse that is specified in the figure shown in the next slide. So as we can see, here we have considered the pulse shape. Instead of the rectangular, we have considered the pulse, or that is a sinc function in the time domain. So this is a sinc pulse in time domain. So x-axis is showing the time. So in time domain, this is a sinc pulse. So what will be the inverse Fourier transform? So inverse Fourier transform, or you can say IFT of the sinc function, will be the rectangular pulse. Okay. That is having some rate, or you can say frequency of this pulse in the frequency domain. So this means our signal or the pulse will be band limited pulses. So if our pulses are band limited, then we are occupying least bandwidth in the channel. So that is the solution to the problem. So we have solved that Nyquist proposed that we can use a pulse that is a sinc pulse in the time domain. So if we are using a sinc pulse in the time domain, our signal will be band limited. Now if we consider the delay in the pulses, or you can say the neighboring pulses, what will have? Will have the pulse shown by the dashed line. So this means the ISI is controlled because we are bothered about the single bit duration. Single bit duration is from 0 to TB. So from 0 to TB we have 1 bit duration. So first bit is, for example, it is 1. Next bit is also 1. So next bit, you can see now from TB to 2 TB, again the value of the bit is 1. So this means that we have controlled the ISI. But again there is a issue. Issue is that these are occupying the infinite bandwidth, because the time is starting from minus infinite to plus infinite. So that is the issue. So consider a pulse specified by, so we are considering the pulse that is given by the P, that is n times TB, and the value is equals to 1, and for discrete interval of time, that is for 0 and 1, means for 0 and 1 the value is 1, otherwise it is 0 for all the other values of n. So this leads to the known and the controlled ISI from the kth pulse. So if you are talking about the kth pulse, the ISI will be controlled to that of the very next transmitted pulse. So means consecutive pulses are having the controlled intersymbol interference. So we use the polar signal by means of this pulse. Thus 1 is transmitted by PT. So 1 we will be transmitting by the pulse PT, and 0 is transmitted by using the pulse minus PT. So as we know that when we are transmitting 1 by the pulse PT and 0 we are transmitting it by minus PT, this means it is a polar format. So the first step when we want to control the ISI is to convert our signal in the polar line coding scheme. So we have to use the polar line coding scheme. So that is the first step of this procedure. Now the next, the received sample is sampled at any t is equals to n times TB seconds. So we have to sample it every TB seconds, and the pulse PT has a 0 value at all n. So this is the important point, that it have the 0 values at all n except for n equals to 0 and 1, where its value is 1. Now let's consider the situation. So what will be the different cases when we want to cover this? So clearly such a pulse causes a 0 ISI. If you are using such a pulse, it will cause a 0 ISI with all the pulses except the succeeding pulse, because we are talking about the consecutive pulses. So consider two successive pulses located at 0 and TB. So what we can do? We can delay our pulses and then we can operate it. Now what are these operations? So operations are as follow. We have, if both pulses were positive, the sample value of the resulting signal is at t is equals to TB and would be 2. So we have the sample signal. If we are having the same pulses, because first we have to convert it into polar format, then we have to add these pulses, and then we have to transmit these pulses. So what we are doing is, if both pulses were negative, the next condition, if both pulses were negative, the sample value would be -2. Okay, so this means if we are having both the pulses negative, then we will be transmitting -2. If both the two pulses were of opposite polarity, so if we are getting the opposite polarity of the pulses, what will be the result? The result will be equal to 0. This means if we are having +1 -1, we will be getting 0. So for example, we will be having 4 combinations. Let's understand this. We will be having 4 combinations, that is the current bit, that is 0, and the next bit is 0. So 0 and 0 we are transmitting in terms of the polar, that is -1 and -1. So what is the addition of -1 -1? It will be minus of 2. Let's take the opposite polarity like 0 and 1. Current bit is 0, next bit is 1. This means 0 is represented by -1 and 1 is represented by +1. So an addition of these two will be resulting it as 0. Next bit is, for example, 1 and 0. So 1 0 means 1 will be represented by +1, 0 is represented by -1. So addition of 1 and -1 will result you 0. Next bit is 1 1. 1 1 will be represented by +1 and +1. So addition of +1 and +1 will result +2. So these are the conditions which we are using to transmit our pulses, that is between the two successive pulses. Next, with only these 3 possible values, so with the help of these 3 possible values, signal sample clearly allows us to make correct decision at sampling, and the decision rule is as follow. So what is the decision rule at the receiver side? Because again we have to take the decision, the decision making device have to take decision which pulse has been transmitted. So the previous bit is 1 and the previous bit is also 1. So if we have to check that what is the previous bit, what is the present bit, if previous bit is 1 and present bit is 1, the addition will result as 1. If the sample value is negative, so if we have the negative pulse like -2, this means 0 was transmitted. So we have to check that the present bit is 0. Now, and the previous bit is also 0. So if we have 0 and 0, then only we will be getting -2. If the sample value is 0, if you are talking about that the sample value is 0, what does it mean? This means the previous bit and the current bit is having the opposite polarity. So this means the present bit is opposite of the previous bit. So this we have to understand that, because this case is very important to understand, because we have to flip the bit when there is a output that is equals to 0. Now let's consider one example to understand how this operation is performed in a controlled ISI, or you can say partial response signaling, or you can say the Nyquist second criteria of controlled ISI. So if the pulse Pt goes to 0 at t is equals to -t and 2 TB, resulting in the pulse width that is having 50% higher than of the first criteria pulses, this pulse broadening in the time domain leads to the reduction of its bandwidth. Now what is the advantage? Advantage is that there is a reduction in the bandwidth, and this is the second criteria proposed by Nyquist. So this is also known as the Nyquist second criteria, or it is known as the Nyquist criteria for controlled ISI, or it is known as the partial response signaling. So this scheme of controlled ISI is also known as the correlative or partial response scheme. So these are the synonyms of the Nyquist second criteria, that is the correlative response scheme or the partial response scheme. So this is the theory of all about the pulse shaping for Nyquist criteria, second criteria. A pulse satisfying the Nyquist second criteria is also known as DO binary pulse. So it is also known as DO binary pulses. So why it is known as DO binary pulses? Because we are operating two pulses at the same time. So that's why it is duobinary pulse. So how it is represented mathematically? So we can represent our pulse mathematically, that is the sinc function. So we are considering a sinc function in the time domain. If you are considering the sinc function in the time domain, how it is represented? It is represented by the pulse pt, that is equals to sine pi rbt, where rb is the rate of the pulses, or you can say the bit rate for the bit duration from 0 to tb. So this will be the bit rate. So it is given by sine pi rbt divided by pi rbt 1 minus rbt. So this will be the representation of the pulse in the time domain. So this is in the time domain. So we have considered the pulse, that is a sinc pulse in the time domain. So the Fourier transform of the pulse pf, that is given by, so pf in the Fourier transform in the, or you can say the frequency domain. So pulse in the frequency domain. So when we take the Fourier transform of this pulse, what we will get? We will get 2 by rb cos pi f by rb and the rectangular pulse. Now this sinc pulse will be converted to the rectangular function, that is given by f by rb e raised to power minus j pi f by rb. So this will be the representation in the frequency domain. So the minimum bandwidth pulse that has satisfy the duobinary criteria and its spectrum. So this will be the duobinary pulse which we have to transmit it, and this will be the spectrum of the duobinary pulse. So the duobinary pulse represented in the time domain, it is nothing but the sinc pulses, that is occupying the bit period, that is from minus tb to plus tb, and in the frequency domain it is occupying the bandwidth, that is ranging from minus rb by 2 to plus rb by 2, and it's having maximum energy at dc, or you can say 0 hertz, and the maximum amplitude, or you can say the pulse having the strength given by 2 by rb cos of pi f dB. So this will be the minimum bandwidth pulse. So let's take one example to understand how this works. So let's consider the scheme of controlled ISI, or you can say the correlative or partial response scheme for the data sequence. Now data is given to us. Okay. Now data is 110 11 000 10 111. Now we have to generate. So what is the question? Question is that we have to generate the transmitted bit and the received samples. So we have to generate the transmitted, and we have the same, we have to receive the first. Now let's what is the first step? So first step is the sequence we have to write. So sequence is given by, let's take it as bit sequence given by 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 and 1. So this is the sample, or you can say the data sequence. Now for this data sequence we have to convert into the polar format. So polar format will be polar representations. First step is to represent in polar. So 1 will be represented by plus 1, 1 is represented by plus 1, 0 is represented by minus 1, 1 by plus 1, 1 by plus 1, then 0 minus 1, minus 1, minus 1, then 1 by plus 1, then 0 by minus 1, then plus 1, plus 1 and plus 1. So this is the representation in the polar format. Now we have to delay this pulse. So delay it by minus 1. Okay. So 1 bit delay the pulses. Okay. So if you delay the pulses, what will having? The same sequence but 1 bit delay. So once 1 1, then 0 is minus 1, then 1 1, then 0 0 0. So this means minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. Then we have 1 means 1, then 0 by minus 1, then 1 1 and 1. So this means we have to take the addition of these two. So addition of these two, and then we have to transmit it. So if we add 1, so it is the initial bit or the first bit, so it is added because we don't have any the previous bit, so it is simply 1 only. Now 1 and 1 will result to minus 1 and 1. So minus 1 and 1 will be resulting 0. Addition of 1 and minus 1 will result 0. Then we have 1 and 1 will be 2. Minus 1 and 1 will be resulting 0. Minus 1 and minus 1 will result minus of 2. Then minus 1 will be minus 2. Plus 1 minus 1 will result 0. Minus 1 plus 1 will be resulting 0. Then 1 and minus 1 0. 1 and 1 will be 2. Then 1 and 1 will be 2. Then the last bit is 1. So this will be the transmitted sequence. So this one is the transmitted sequence using the duo binary pulses. So this is also known as duo binary pulses. Okay, so this will be the transmitted sequence. Now we have to find the received sequence. What is the transmitted sequence? 1 2 0 0 1 2 0 0 2 0 minus 2 minus 2 2 0 minus 2 minus 2 0 0 0 double 2 1 triple 0 double 2 1. So this will be the transmitted. Now this is the transmitted pulse. Now according to the rule, our received pulse will be if we have the positive value, then it will be represented as 1. If we have the negative value, then it is represented by 0. So let's take, so first bit is 1, next 2, that is also having the positive polarity, so it is also 1. Then we have 0. 0 means we have to flip the previous bit. So what is the previous bit? Previous bit is 1. So we have to flip it. So 1, when we invert 1, it will be 0. Now next bit is 1. So next bit is 0. So 0 means we have to check the previous bit. So previous bit is 0. This means we have to flip it. So 0 will become 1. So next bit is 2. So 2 means the positive means the polarity is positive means 1. Now we have the 0. 0 means we have to check the previous bit. We have to check this bit. So this bit is 1. So we have to flip it. So flip it in it, we are getting 0. Next bit is minus 2. Minus 2 is directly 0. Minus 2 again directly 0. Then we have 0. 0 means we have to check this bit. So we have to flip this bit. So flipping it, we will get 1. Next bit is again 0. So we have to check this bit. So this bit is 1. So 1, flipping it 0. Now next bit is 0 again. So 0, we have to check the previous bit. So we have to flip it. So by flipping it, we'll get it is 1. Now 2 means 1, 2 again 1 and 1 will be 1. Now you can check the original data. Original data is 11011. You can check 11, the data which was transmitted, 11 011 00010 and 111. So this is the additional bit which can be neglected. So what we have, as you can see, 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 and 1. So it is actually matching that bit which was, or the data sequence which was transmitted. So this is the concept of duo binary signaling. So this is used to have the minimum bandwidth. So this technique is occupying the least bandwidth. So in this lecture we have discussed about the pulse shaping, that is the second part of the pulse shaping, or you can say the Nyquist criteria of controlled ISI using duo binary pulses. So this, in this lecture, what we have seen that we can control the ISI by taking or by operating the two successive pulses and transmitting the pulse will be having the minimum inter symbol interference. So here I am going to stop this lecture. Thank you.